Good Wednesday morning. And oh boy, the rain is here. Not real cool, but the rain is here. And it's one of those rainy fall days. Come on, let's go. No, Willow, let's go this way. These dogs are like, they travel in packs. That's how animals are. No, once one dog says go in direction, all the other dogs follow. Come on, Willow. It's just the pack mentality. No, you stay over here. Get in the barn. Get in the barn. Hey, it's Ice Age TV. Did I even say that? Who the heck knows? I tell you, time. It's just beyond believable how fast time goes by. Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. It's just time. Come on, get in the barn. Come on. Got all the motorcycles all unloaded and shifted around. And yeah, first time watching my video, it'd be like, who's the voice? Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you can control time? You could control the weather. Here's the vehicles. And get the lights on. There's the dog that I thought was going to be a nuisance and a problem, and he's not. And here's the Indian. Look at this nice Indian motorcycle. You just can't get anybody to buy it. I mean, I know I'm wanting good money for it, but it's not a cheap motorcycle. I've called around yesterday on some Indian motorcycles, and I'm just telling you, you want to buy a brand new Indian motorcycle, if you want to buy that motorcycle right there, it's basically going to cost you, by the end of the day, it's going to be close to $15,000 motorcycle. And I'm not including you having the crash bars on it. I'm not including you have the little sissy pad and the little rear seat on it. I'm not including the side bag bracket, not including the upgraded exhaust. I mean, so this bike, there's $17,000 in this bike, and I'm getting people wanting to pay me basically $12,000 for the motorcycle. So you know, it's not going anywhere. That's the reality. I ain't selling it. I mean, and once again, I called around yesterday, thinking about, do I trade that for something else? And you start asking our prices, on the internet. That motorcycle is advertised for like $13,500. Okay, that's what I say. Call the dealership. Just add another $2,000. There's another $2,000, $1,800 of add-ons to that motorcycle that makes it close to $15,000 without sales tax. Right. So is that what we're talking about today? You're probably thinking, "Whoa, geez, here we go. It's the adventure of the Indian motorcycles." No, that's not. I just said, what if you could control time? I mean, think about that. What if you could control time? What if you could control... Can't get my office heater on, but now I did. What if you could control the weather? See how dark it is up here? Ugh. It's cold, it's dark. My coffee going. Yeah, I'll probably start hacking the coffee with my GERD, because I've been drinking coffee like every day. And then it just gets to a point where my GERD just starts going, nope, you can't have coffee every day. And it starts getting to the hacking and coughing. Yeah, right? So what I was saying to myself this morning was control. Right? Can you control the weather? Let's see the over there, right? As I drink my coffee. Yeah, the just like I was saying a minute ago, I'm trying to sell that motorcycle, and I'm trying to be fair about it. But it's once again, it's when you try to go buy something, and that's what kind of made me think about control. It's just an example of my motorcycle downstairs that I've been trying to sell, and I get different thoughts. If I do sell it, or don't sell it, or do I trade it just for something else? Okay, so that's kind of what's going on. Meanwhile, last night I got all the motorcycles put back in trailers. And we don't ride much, which those all should be sold, but that's another project, another day. And yeah, it's incredible. So, control. So I thought to myself this morning, getting out of bed, wow, control. And control has been around for, mankind forever. I mean, control, it's a very broad word that is in every aspect of our society. And I just thought to myself, wow, what I like to do is to try to use the most recent times. Because I think when you talk to somebody and they've lived in recent times, they can relate more with the conversation. Versus I start talking about the Civil War, about the Union versus the Confederates, about the control of slavery versus The other didn't want to control slavery, the Civil War. You can start talking about history and control, but I just like to kind of try to talk about what's going on now, because it's just, I think more people can look around and say to themselves, yeah, right, this makes sense. That's kind of the goal of my morning conversations. My morning conversations to me are about just talking amongst ourselves and saying, do you see what I see? I mean, do you see what I see? Because we're such in a technology age that the information that's being given to us, we just take it for granted that's factual. And we're learning as time progresses that it's not factual. We're learning through now Elon Musk. I bring up Elon Musk just like about every day with the Twitter. Wow. I mean, it's just beyond control. Wow. But what we'll get to that. Let's just talk about first, keep it the automotive theme. Even my brother's making fun of my channel, my daughter told me, because it isn't like the car channel like it used to be, being I show you me buying a new car every day of my life. And yeah, right. Okay, whatever. So yeah, the channel definitely has progressed to me just wanting to talk and share ideas and views, because that's what I enjoy, and I've done it my whole life. If you'd have been around with me in real person and riding around with me and the conversations, you would hear this type of conversations. That's just who I am. I like to talk about that. Am I bitching about my family member? I don't do that. Am I complaining about my neighbors and backstabbing people? That's not who I am. I don't like that. That doesn't get you anywhere. So other people spend a lot of time just, griping about relationships and work woes and this, that. I try not to do that because it doesn't get anywhere. Complaining doesn't get you anywhere. Complaining does nothing. It accomplishes nothing. So I'd rather talk about things that seem to make sense and to seem to maybe help us become better than worse. So the control, let's just look at control in the automotive world right now. Let's just look at the pre-pandemic and then into pandemic. Boy, oh boy, tell you about the good old days in the car industry. It's just so hard to believe that just a little over 2 years ago, I mean, it was really 2020, first part of 2020, and then prior to that the good old days of buying cars was so much more of a control of what you could buy versus what you can do today. And let me, explain what I mean by that. When you and I wanted to go buy a car prior to the pandemic, you would drive around the car dealerships and you would just see car lots flooded with new cars, used cars, and the manufacturers were offering rebates usually on most of the brands, and the dealerships, for the most part, wanted to move a lot of product off their car lots, so they were much more advantageous to you to try to discount the vehicle and to try to get you, into a vehicle. And it was, I can so remember that you would get sometimes up to a $20,000 discount off like a Dodge Ram truck. They would take off 10 grand at least, if not 15 grand at least. There'd be a $10,000 factory rebate, and a dealership may take off 5 to 7 grand off of you. There's these stories are rampant. The Dodge Hellcat had the power dollar days where you got paid for every dollar for the horsepower in your car, and so like a 800 horsepower 797 was $7,970 off a rebate from Dodge to move that vehicle, not including what you could get the vehicle for discount at the dealership. So you could maybe get close to 15 grand off a Hellcat. That was like a $90,000 vehicle. Now, that was the good old days. I could go through the list of all the things that, what you and I could do years ago, pre-pandemic. We kind of had a feeling that we had a little more control of our purchase. We had much more of a feeling that when you went to go shop for a car, you had lots more options and had more power to your side versus the dealer side, because one dealership could have two of the same vehicles, or it could be a few of the same vehicles in the same market within reach. Well, yeah, how has that all played out? It's incredible now since the pandemic came in, and even now the pandemic is gone for the most part, not in China. You see, talk about control. Look what China's doing to their people. One does the Civil War. One does the war of the people start in China. How much longer can you be locked in your house for the fear factor of getting a virus and dying? How much longer can the people take that? For the uprising, the downside for China is they don't have any people don't have any weapons. You have to get the army to join hands with you to take over the powers that be in China, which, wow. Yeah, control communist countries, socialism. It seems like the professors of this country are preaching socialism and communism like never seen before. Yes, and remove God from our country like never seen before. If you don't believe that, then I guess you don't have any kids or family or friends that have kids in college. Because if you start talking to them, they're going to tell you what's going on. My daughter comes home already and tells me what is going on in her school and what is being taught to her. It's beyond believable. It's beyond believable of what's going on. Yes. And these teachers take great pride in brainwashing your kid to make you and I be the opposers. I mean, it's very sad. It's very sad to think that there are military people in this country that where this country's control factors are going, that military people would be tracked down and extinguished because of the radical movement that's happening in this country. Yeah. Once again, I know this is a channel about cars and motorcycles and everything else, but let me, continue on how just the control factor in the ice age is going on. Everybody now knows and has been exposed and witnessed and has seen on how now the car dealerships control the sales more than ever. Now that's starting to change a little bit, but you just go back here over the last year plus, the car dealerships have had the upper hand of selling cars and controlling the pricing like never seen in my lifetime. And me being a car fanatic, when I started buying cars when I was 20 years old, and I'm 59 years old, so do I have a little experience of buying cars and know what goes on at the car dealerships? Yeah, I have purchased hundreds of cars, probably 300 plus vehicles in my lifetime. Yeah, so we are witnessing more than ever, just in the automotive industry, the control factor. The control is what you can get and what you can't get and how much you're going to pay for it. Wow. What drove that? What is driving that scenario? And even the used car market, the used car markets went through the roof. And then you go to the manufacturing side. The control factor of manufacturing not being able to build cars fast enough because of all the pandemic-related challenges of the control. So you start backing up even more. The governing body stepped in and started controlling everything in our country, which, in essence, shut everything down just about, which created people to go home and not work, which created people to be controlled to stay home and to control their happiness versus sadness. The government sent people checks so there wouldn't be an uprising in this country against the control factor of forcing people to stay home on the what if you're going to die from the virus. And I know it gets deep. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole and all the variables in that. But what I'm trying to convey this morning is what I started thinking to myself this morning was the control factor that we are now living in more than ever. And you have to say to yourself, with all the advancement in technology, I mean, years ago, if you went shopping for a car, if you were in the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s, you used to have to find an Auto Trader magazine from 7-Eleven or whatever, retail outlet sold magazines to have this book of all these printed pictures and advertisements to go find and buy a car. Or you had to open up the local newspaper and look through the ads at the, does anyone remember the huge sections? It's incredible how people have forgotten about this, even myself. It's incredible on how the newspapers used to have just huge advertising capabilities with the papers. You just have pages and pages of huge ads of car dealerships advertising to sell their vehicles. It was like the Sunday morning comics it was huge. So for you as an individual, back in that time, it was more challenging to really figure out what deal you could get on a car because you have to drive from dealership to dealership to dealership, and it took a lot of time, a lot of work. So in that essence, back in the day, the car industry did have more control over the selling of cars because they weren't exposed as much. But you still had what seemed like you still had negotiating powers to be because you could have a person that would be able to tell them that that same car they want is up the road and they're charging less and blah, blah, blah. So there was negotiation in it, but the car industry made a lot of money back then because they it wasn't so easy to expose them and who's paying for what and who has what. So it wasn't until the internet came along, the technology came along, that rattled the car industry because they knew now they couldn't just pull the shades over your eyes to sell your car, even though it still goes on. So for the car industry, the control factor now seems to be prevalent more than ever. That even to the point that the Ford CEO, Jim Farley, his presentation is he wants online ordering. Hold on one second here. The new car industry now, we have all this technology in front of us, but yet it seems like borderline we've gone backwards to the 70s, 80s, and 90s type of business model of the industry controlling the prices. But for Jim Farley, more so, because think this through. Jim Farley's wanting to create the online sales. He's really wanting to cut out the dealer infrastructure. I mean, he thinks that that's going to make the industry that much more money and no middleman. And there's a lot more to that I'm going to go into. But the point is, the control factor is, so Jim Farley's presentation is, you're online and there's the price and that's the price. Well, isn't that price fixing? I mean, to a degree. I mean, just like Elon Musk. You know, there's a good and a bad of Elon Musk. Elon Musk, my position was, yeah, you can order a Tesla online and not go through the price haggling, but okay, then the price is the price. It's a fixed price. I mean, Saturn, that was a big pitch with GM back in like the 90s of the Saturn vehicles. You know, where the hell did those things go? Where it was a guaranteed fixed price, right? So that's a control factor. Now you're buying a car from Ford that you know has incredible markup in electric vehicles, and you're paying the price. There's no negotiation. So that's better. That's control. That's what Jim Farley's trying to do. He's trying to lock down that he can control the pricing of the Ford products and Ford market. He's trying to control the market. He's trying to control the dealerships. So for us, just since the pandemic came in and afterwards, we are now being controlled more than ever in the automotive industry. It's even in the motorcycle industry. It was even in the boat industry. It's even in the RV industry. It was a list of everything being manufactured. And since everybody ran to go spend their money, their free money they got, and everything else that played out during the pandemic, the manufacturers couldn't stay up with the demand. And the challenge was, as I spoke a minute ago, was the governing body sent everybody home, and it made people stay home. They couldn't go to work, and they just sent them checks to sit at home. So it killed the whole infrastructure of the whole mechanisms of the system for people to be able to work to continue to keep manufacturing at the correct pace for the satisfaction for the individuals wanting to buy stuff. And so it totally created the supply and demand reverse effect that rewarded, the said mentioned things that I've talked about. So, wow. Does anybody waking up and thinking to themselves, we are being controlled more than ever just in the automotive side, motorcycle side? The boat and RV industry, I think that their day is over. I think beg to buy a boat and RV, those days are gone. They're going to be begging you to buy a boat and RV. That's where it's all going back to. Car industry, it's kind of there, but it's not 100% there. People just buy cars. People are going to continue to buy cars. I don't know why. And, that's just a whole other thing that I really haven't gotten much into on the real economy versus the fake economy. We're back to the real economy. I don't know why these people are preaching gloom and doom. We're just back to the way it used to be. Think about the cryptocurrency. Talk about control. Who is controlling the cryptocurrency? I mean, just put your hand out in the air and try to grab something to put a value on cryptocurrency. I mean, that's all that stuff is. It's what you think it's worth today versus what it's worth tomorrow. It just... That cryptocurrency, there's a lot to it, but we're seeing that people have lost a lot of money that thought they were going to get rich off their cryptocurrency. Yeah, it's huge. So that was just a little control factor on the money side. And go back some history, if you look at the early 1900s, that J.P. Morgan was one of the wealthiest men in the country at that time, had the control of the railroads, the banks, metal, steel, list goes on and on and on. And back during the early 1900s, the stock market just about crashed. And J.P. Morgan was a key individual that wanted to see people put money back in the markets to avoid the crash. But as years progressed, his son Jack Morgan, he ended up paying dearly for his father's trying to control the markets when the Great Depression settled in. And they did try to go after Jack Morgan, J.P. Morgan's son, for trying to kind of persuade the banking system, even though he went to Europe. He actually went to Europe to fund wars over in Europe. So he built a big relationship over in Europe for World War II, or say World War, just there's a lot of things going on at that time. But the whole point is, J.P. Morgan was known in the early 1900s to try to control the money markets, and eventually his controls didn't play out to the reality to what the markets are. And you have to say to yourself, to a point, I've got one of my guys coming in and just keep on checking on that because the dogs are going nuts here any minute. So just like right now, the markets, to a degree, are controlled or being controlled by the governing bodies and the big business, big banks. And so I think to myself, think of the controls that are being put in place now. Yesterday, I had a big conversation about the Respect Act for marriage, and so which looks like that's going to go through. Well, there's a control. There's just one aspect of our governing bodies wanting to put a bill in place that controls the religious community. I mean, more so than ever in this country. And then you look at, we witnessed during the pre-pandemic, we witnessed people that wanted to control the police. We had the more than ever the hate of the police and defund the police, and you had many major movements in cities throughout the country and political sides that wanted to defund the police and control the police more. Okay, so we've seen that play out in front of our eyes, which that control factor, oh boy, how's that playing out? Then you see, one part of the country wants to control the border, another part of the country seems to think that the controlling the border isn't really a big deal. We should let those that are suffering come into our country and appease these people and take care of them. Another part of the country is saying you have to control the border because it'll be out of control eventually from the border. So you have, once again, you have the control factor where one city administration was trying to control the border. You have another city administration that doesn't want to control the border. And then you can look at the crime and drugs that, go associated with trying to control things. And, we're hearing that the drug issues in our country and the crime in our country, the control in that isn't really being handled very well. So the control factors there seem like, where is the control factors? Then you think about your kids or education. Who's controlling the content that's going into the school systems today? And more than ever, sadly, the controlling bodies are, going more favoritism to teaching things that aren't advancing the country to make people love each other as much. It's dividing people in the country to hate each other much more. The teaching of the 1619 readings, they have, if anybody doesn't know what the teaching 1619 readings, you need to find out what it is, because it's really happening. What that is, that was the first slave brought to this country, and what the 1619 readings is saying that this country is founded on slavery, which I don't disagree. I don't disagree that, yes, sadly, slaves were brought to this country to help build this country. I don't think anybody here that knows history and understands history is going to disagree with that. I think where the disagreement comes in is, what are we gaining by bringing up the 1619 of the inhumane things that were done in this country with slaves, but yet the world bodies are doing the same thing worldwide. It was the times, and it still goes on today. So if you're trying to kind of separate, or you're trying to kind of process your information here, what's coming from teaching the younger generation that the white supremacy is what has ruined the black people's lives, which, that gets very deep, very argumentative, and I'm not going to do that in my channel. But what I'm saying to you is, this public education is teaching CRT, critical race theory. They've changed the name of it so it doesn't say critical race theory, but they're teaching the younger people that the white people were disgraced to the black people. and that the white people should be punished in some ways for their actions to the black community. And so you're digging up, history years and years back. So how do we move forward with those, channels? Reparations. There's talked about the black community should be paid for the hardships that they went through and things were taken and blah, blah, blah. So that gets very deep, but that's called control. It's once again, it's education controlling what is being taught to the younger generation's country, and what are they trying to accomplish out of that control? And that's what I was saying yesterday about the Respect for Marriage Act. What is the really underlying goal of this bill? It sounds to me it's about the states and governing bodies having control over religious communities, and borderline making religious communities go away if they wish to see how they can accomplish that. So it's control. Here we are living today more than ever with technology on our doorstep, but yet we're being controlled in many ways more than I think most people realize. Look at Elon Musk. I bring up every day. Twitter. What is going on Twitter? Tim Cook of Apple is snubbing his nose to Elon Musk because Apple believes that Elon Musk has opened Twitter up to be a hate social platform, which to me, the control factor. It seems that Twitter was fine when it was a left-dominant conversation. Is that what it was? I mean, I wasn't on Twitter. So some here may be really big Twitter users, and the list goes on and on. And what comes from that, as far as, is it factual that the conservative base was run off and couldn't speak? Is that factual? And that the left base was the more dominant conversation? Is that factual? I don't know. I wasn't a big Twitter. I've never been a Twitter person. I just have heard people, talk about it, and you see postings from people. But the point is, Tim Cook is saying to Elon Musk, we're not so sure we're going to allow you to have the Twitter app to be put on people's devices to be part of Twitter, because we don't think we're going to put that in our app store, because we feel like you have a very offensive social media platform with a lot of hate. Wow. So Apple seems to be taking a position that they're going to control Elon Musk. Yeah, that's a total control. It's a total control factor, where you're hearing more and more every day of Elon trying to build Twitter, change the direction of the company, allowing free speech, but at the same time, the control factors being put in place by the left that seem to be saying that this man is just really creating a borderline a hate social platform. And even I've seen read on how Elon apparently is definitely catching a lot of the hate that is going on behind the scenes. And you have to wonder yourself too. You borderline have to think yourself, it's always about the revenge. So to me, borderline, I think to myself, there's revenge going on Twitter, where people are purposely taking advantage of the free speech, and they're saying hateful things because they want to shut Twitter down with Elon Musk. So you're going to have people that literally are just deliberately doing that because they hate Elon Musk for what he's already done to people's jobs. He's fired people. He's changed the direction of Twitter. The list goes on and on and on. So there's no doubt in my mind, behind the scenes, it's called revenge. So they're trying to make his Twitter look bad, but they're trying to control it. Once again, it's control. So here we are as individuals, where we can get on a phone or a device like I have and make a video and publish a video that tries to be nice in content, not be mean and hateful and saying bad things and have an agenda to drive people to do not good things. But yet today, more than ever, we have control factors that it seems that certain divisions of the country want to control more than ever. I mean, even to the point they're saying now that the White House is monitoring Twitter for whatever Elon Musk is doing. Wow, it's just like, here we are today with instantaneous information just about, but yet we don't know the information we're being fed is actually the correct information. But now we're realizing more than ever that there's major movement of control of content like we've never seen before, and people are shut down for the freedom of their speech, just like freedom of religion. that Respect Act marriage bill is going to take away the freedom of religion. I don't think people understand that, but that's kind of what that's about. If you kind of think it through and you kind of do some research on that. And once again, that bill is going through. Pretty good chance it's going through, but it hasn't gone through yet. There's, it's got to go through, I guess, the House or whatever. So that's a whole nother, I talked about that in great length yesterday. But anyways, could talk all day. The day is gone as usual. The morning just disappears, and I got a ton of work to do, and I got to keep moving. But I just thought today, the conversation be control. We all need to realize more than ever, the media machine is controlling things, and we know this. I mean, there's nobody here that's ignorant. Watch my channel. We know the media machine's been twisting things for many, many years, but I really think Elon Musk has really opened everybody's eyes, especially my eyes, more than ever, of just how really bad it is. That it's so divided beyond divisions that we've seen of the media machine controlling the content and the social platforms. It's really sad, really, because it's an agenda to change the direction of this country, and sadly, to a degree, it is changing because so many people don't understand how to think out of the box. You think out of the box. They get so fixated on what you do every day and what you listen to. You have the followers that are going to listen to the MSNBC, you have the followers that listen to the Fox News, you have the followers that listen to CNN. You just have the followers that what they want to hear. What you want to hear. That's the challenge. Is the control factor. And that's what the control factor does. It conditions you to you be told what you want to hear, because they control how they present it to you. Anyways, thanks for watching my channel. What's up next? What do I do with an Indian Scout? Do I trade it for an Indian Chief? Do I sell it outright and just take the funny money and put a supercharger on the truck? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that anytime soon. I'm not really excited about that. That may be next year's project. I got enough toys as it is. Yeah, but do I make a number 23 purchase? Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I've kind of separated the cars from the motorcycles. So cars, it's like 22. If you add in the motorcycles, it's more than that. I just kind of figure we keep it the car side, but I should figure that out with the motorcycles. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow, right? I don't have time to go through that whole scenario. But anyways, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. And share it with your friends, and hopefully my content helps others. It isn't here to create division among any of us here. I'm just sharing ideas. I love how people throw ideas, and I love how some people respond to my YouTube conversations, and they bring up good points. I think that's great. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, and God bless. And stay dry. Is that what I should say today? But it's raining outside. Something I forgot to kind of talk about. Boy, talk about control of energy. I really need to talk about that real quick. Wow. Has anybody figured out how the fossil fuel industry has been controlled by the green agenda more than ever? The energy is through the roof in pricing, even though it's kind of bouncing around. But think that through. The control factor of just the green agenda, what it's created as far as prices go and how expensive everything is. You can go to the foods. So just want to kind of throw that in there as well. I forgot to kind of talk about more of that in depth, but oh my gosh, control? Who's controlling the energy prices? Yeah, right. Yeah, well, the sitting powers to be in this country are controlling the energy prices like never seen in recent times. So hope that gives you another idea of conversations to talk about, and it's just not acceptable. Change of times. Thanks for watching.